Welcome to r/Am I the Butthole, where OP keeps an entire inheritance for herself. Will I be the butthole if I don't share the inheritance that I received from a friend with her daughter? I'm a 32-year-old woman, and I recently came into an inheritance when my neighbor and close friend, Valerie, who's 68, died. I met Valerie when I moved into my condo in 2018, and she became my next-door neighbor. Our places are on the top floor and have almost connecting balconies. We used to spend every Saturday morning outside taking care of our plant babies and chatting. I had learned that Valerie had been a widow since she was 55. I got the impression that she had married young and never had a true chance to learn who she was until after her husband Gary died. I had always thought that Valerie was alone in the world. Turns out, Valerie had one child, a daughter, Sam, who's 44. However, they'd been estranged since the early 2000s. The story that Valerie told me was that Sam had come out as gay when she was just out of high school. That did not sit well with Gary. He told Sam that she was no longer his daughter and kicked her out, telling her to never contact them or come home again. The whole situation broke Valerie's heart, and it was her biggest regret in life. She told me that she had always wished that she had tried to fight for Sam, but in the moment she was so shocked that she watched the whole thing happen without saying a word. When I first heard that story, I asked if she had ever tried to reach out. Valerie told me that she hadn't because she didn't know how to even try. So I did some internet sleuthing and found Sam on Facebook. It turns out Sam had managed to build a good life for herself. I helped Valerie draft a heartfelt message to Sam. Valerie apologized for everything and told Sam how much her perspectives had changed over the years. Valerie also asked if they could try to build a new relationship. We sent the message and saw that Sam had seen and maybe read the message, but Sam never responded. About a month ago, I got home from work to find Valerie passed away on her balcony. She had suffered an embolism. I sent the link to her obituary and memorial page to Sam. I didn't see Sam at the funeral. There's a lawyer handling all of Valerie's affairs. I thought that I would simply grieve the loss of my friend, and eventually I'd have a new neighbor. I never expected me to be the only person Valerie mentioned in her will, let alone to have been left everything. A few days ago, Sam messaged me. She was upset and demanded that I give her Valerie's things, claiming that I took advantage of an old widow. I was upset when I first read Sam's message and thought, who does she think she is? She hasn't spoken to Valerie in literal decades and never responded when Valerie tried to reach out. Now Valerie is her mother and that entitles her to Valerie's stuff? Now I wonder if I should do something for Sam. I go back and forth if Valerie would want me to. Valerie knew where Sam was, so she could have included Sam somehow. The lawyer I talked to said that the inheritance is completely mine and that Sam has no claim. But should I give Sam something? OP, I don't think you should feel bad about keeping any, assets or money, stocks, property, anything like that. That's pretty solidly yours. However, if I were in your shoes, I would allow Valerie to get sentimental items like, maybe a family necklace or photographs, things like that. In any event, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. And I think I'm going to give Sam 0 out of 5 buttholes too, because if I were in her shoes, I would also assume that you had scammed an old widow. I mean, come on, the neighbor of an old lady inherits everything. That kind of sends up some red flags, doesn't it? Will I be the butthole if I kick my boyfriend's sister out of our house? I'm a 25-year-old woman, and I've been with my boyfriend, who's 27, for 3 years, and he moved in with me last year. Everything was going great until last Christmas when his parents announced they were selling the family home and downsizing, but they wanted to go on one of those 6-month-long cruises around the world. Fine, whatever, they can do what they want, except they have a younger daughter, Emma, who's 18. Completely unbeknownst to me, my boyfriend had agreed to let Emma live with us until she moved away to university. This led to a lot of fights between my boyfriend and I, because I didn't want Emma living with us. Despite all this, she moved in after the house sold in February. It has been hell. For starters, our house might have 3 bedrooms, but only one was used as a bedroom. One is my home, and the other was a home gym for me and my boyfriend. Emma turned the gym into her room, and now a lot of our equipment is in storage. I hate having Emma here, as she's a total brat and doesn't contribute anything to the house. Here's just a small list of stuff I have to deal with. The second Emma turned 18, she was out with friends, coming back drunk at 3 a.m. and waking up my dogs as she clattered into the house, normally with an equally drunk friend. For the first month of her living with us, she would steal my stuff constantly. Skincare, hair care, perfume, clothes, anything. I now have a lockable box for toiletries so she can't get to them. She's lost 6 different sets of house keys since moving in, and I've had to have the lock changed twice due to various issues. She refuses to do anything I ask her to do because she's, quote, busy. But she doesn't have a job. How is she busy? She refuses to eat anything I cook and will demand that we order takeaway instead. I've asked her repeatedly for meal ideas, and even if I make that exact meal, she refuses to eat it as it doesn't taste right. The breaking point came last weekend when me, my boyfriend, and the dogs went away for the weekend. I was reluctant to leave Emma in the house by herself, but my boyfriend said that it would be a great way for Emma to gain some independence before going to university. Big effing mistake. We came back in Sunday evening to a trashed house and a hungover Emma asleep in her room. I had to get a professional cleaner in on Monday to tackle the worst of the mess after I spent half the night cleaning. I'm done. I want her out the house. I thought that I could deal with this until she moved away in September, but I can't. Especially now that she's talking about putting her place on hold for a year so she can go traveling and use our house as a base. No, I want her gone and out ASAP. True, she has nowhere to go and her parents aren't back from their cruise until the end of August, but I don't care. I want her gone. I've talked to my boyfriend about this, and he won't budge because Emma is family, and he can't kick her out. So, will I be the butthole if I kick her out? To be clear, this is my house. I own it outright with no mortgage, and my boyfriend is not on the official documents. He does pay half towards the bills, but he just sends the money to me each month. Then OP posted an update. I managed to have a video call with my boyfriend's parents and wow, just wow. First of all, they've been sending Emma 700 pounds a month to cover her living with us, and I haven't seen a penny of it. Their mom mentioned that I could take the house cleaner fee out of Emma's money, and I asked what money she meant because Emma doesn't have a job. Her mom laughed and said, "The 700 pounds that we send to Emma each month to cover all of her expenses while she lives with you." They've been sending Emma money and she was supposed to be giving this money to us to cover everything. Either Emma's been keeping it or she's been giving it to my boyfriend and he hasn't said a word. Surprisingly, her parents were furious that I haven't seen any of this money, and they're sending me a bank transfer of 4,200 pounds to cover the money Emma should have been giving us since February. They're sending it to my personal account, then I can do with it what I see fit. I was brutally honest on the call and said that I can't have Emma staying with us any longer. Yeah, she might leave in September, but what if she doesn't get the results she needs for university and has to defer, or if she takes a gap year? I am not putting up with this for another year. Their mom is going to talk to her sister and see if Emma can stay there until they get back at the end of August. For those wondering, yes, they have a house all lined up for when they return. They will not be living with us when they get back. I'm going to have a serious talk with my boyfriend this evening, and I'm not rethinking our whole relationship. If he tries to fight over Emma staying, then it's over. A lot of the comments in this post have made me realize that I've been a doormat to this man since Emma moved in. Also, that I should have been charging him rent. And I'm not standing for it anymore. Wish me luck, helpful Reddit folks. Wish me luck. Okay, sounds like Reddit kicked some sense into OP. She was being a doormat. OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm glad that you now have clarity. Am I the butthole for spending the weekend pointing out every time my brother-in-law eats? I'm a 32-year-old guy, and I married my wife 7 years ago. My wife's family is very large, and none of them drank aside from maybe one ice-cold beer in the summer and the occasional glass of wine or champagne. For the first 5 years or so, I wouldn't want to be the only one getting tipsy at functions and would refrain from boozing, but as the years went by, I got more comfortable with everyone and was assured that no one had an issue with it. I would drink my beers when we were celebrating things. There were no issues until about a year back when my wife's brother, Jimmy, who's 42, started this dumb habit of loudly announcing every time I open a new drink, "Whoa, another one? Damn, slow down, you just had one. Did you open another drink? Hide the keys." Don't tell me that's another beer. He obviously thinks it's hilarious, but I've told him more than once to stop and that counting my drinks and reporting to everyone is weird. What's his problem? It's always some variation of, "It's just a joke, don't be so uptight." Or, hey, if you got a problem with people knowing how much you drink, that's a you problem. This past weekend, my wife's father invited us to spend the weekend at his house and grill out. Sounds like a damn good time. We're there. Jimmy arrives and he starts up with the same old tired teasing. I hadn't even bought any drinks yet. I decided to give him a taste of his own medicine. Now, Jimmy is not a small man. He's a big boy for sure. For the record, I'm a fat boy myself. I spent the entire weekend loudly crying, Jesus! Every time Jimmy served himself food. Goes for a second burger, Jesus! Serves himself nachos, Jesus! Fourth Pepsi, Jesus! Makes a sandwich right after breakfast, Jesus! It all came to a head when I walked into the kitchen right as he was eating a hot link. No bun, no plate, just the link. I cry out, Jesus! And Jimmy throws the link at me, calls me a few names, and then drives home. My wife is upset, saying I didn't have to stoop to his level. I tried to say that it was different, but I don't really see how. Hey, I don't understand why everyone's upset. It's just a joke. Don't be so uptight. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. This was a funny reverse Uno. Am I the butthole for not telling my family that I joined the military? I'm an 18-year-old woman, and growing up, I had to do everything with my twin sister Sophie. Well, mostly do everything Sophie wanted. If things didn't go her way, she'd throw a huge fit until she got her way. Our whole lives, we had to share a brightly colored bedroom. Once, in 4th grade, I got in trouble because I put a picture of a poorly drawn dragon on the wall because it was too dark for Sophie, which I thought was ridiculous. Throughout elementary and middle school, our mom dressed us up in the exact same or nearly identical clothes because she thought that it was cute. In 5th grade, our mom had us join ballet because it was something Sophie always wanted to do. When I would ask to join boxing, my dad would yell at me for only thinking of myself. My mom would always say that boxing was too rough for Sophie. It got worse in high school. Whenever I wanted to hang out with my own friends, Sophie just had to come along, or she'll say that I'm purposefully excluding her. When I would have a crush on someone, the next day, Sophie would be dating him. In senior year, Sophie already made up her mind that me and her both are going to college for cosmetology. To sum it all up, I couldn't do anything with my own life because it had to be what Sophie wanted, or I'd get in trouble. As soon as I turned 18, I decided to join the Navy. Last night, I sat my parents and Sophie down at the table and explained that I was not going to college for cosmetology with Sophie, but instead, I'm leaving for the Navy. They all started to scream at me that this was selfish and I'm betraying my family. What? OP, more power to you. I hope you're happy out there. I think it's totally logical for you to want to leave the house. I gotta warn you though, signing up for the military because you want freedom and personal choice is probably not the wisest course of action. I mean, you can't have a good life in the Navy. I'm not trying to bang the Navy here. It's just, the Navy is pretty pro-conformity, and there's not a lot of privacy on a boat, FYI. Good luck out there, OP. 0 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for calling out a line cutter at Costco? I was at Costco and had just finished checking out when I realized I'd picked up the wrong item. I headed over to the supervisor's desk and waited behind a gentleman who was already there. A couple minutes later, a woman nudged in front of my cart, giving me an unapologetic wave. "I'll be quick. I just have a question," she said. I didn't hold back. "I don't give a shit. Wait in line," I told her. She looked at me like I was an alien and told me I was being incredibly rude. I followed up with, "Fine. Pretty effing please, then." I also have a question. What makes yours more important than mine? When I went home and told my wife, she said that I overreacted, and in retrospect, I shouldn't have cursed, but I don't regret calling her out. The general comments are, everyone sucks here, the woman sucks for cutting, and OP sucks for cursing and overreacting, but I'm gonna disagree. Sometimes people deserve to get cussed out. OP, what, crossed a line by cussing? I mean, it sounds like she needs to get cussed out once or twice in life. You know what the purpose of shame is? It helps society function. It prevents people from doing sucky things like cutting in line. OP, I disagree with many of these commenters. I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. That was r/Am I the Butthole. And if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.